Hello, here at osmvtxreviews.com. You're watching our video review of the Samsung UPstage. This is a cell phone for contract on Sprint here in the United States, and it's sold for only $100 with a 2-year service agreement. The Samsung UPstage is a very unique handset because it offers a dual screen system that flips over to reveal a numeric D-pad and a more traditional cell phone-like form factor, but on the other side, you can flip over to reveal a more touchscreen or a touch-controlled based orientation device for usage as an exclusive MP3 music player and for access to more advanced functionalities like stereo Bluetooth, GPS, and for the more traditional multimedia and smarter phone functionalities. Now, as a result, the device is, again, very unique and certainly like nothing we've really seen on the market before, and the Samsung UPstage was certainly the first really dual-screen phone back when it came out in 2007/2008. In part 1 of this video review, we will take a look back at its design elementation in terms of hardware, and in part 2 we'll take a closer look at the software. So taking a look at the back side of the device first, it says Samsung UPstage, and the phone actually came in 2 different color iterations. This is the piano black version, also came in a red version, which is both equally appealing in our opinions. The interesting thing about the Samsung UPstage is that in the box it also came with a free case, also dubs as a battery case, so when you put it into the device itself, it actually extended the battery talk time of the phone, which is a pretty important thing because the Samsung UPstage is a very thin in terms of form factor device, and to have both screens on the device, in addition to features like GPS and Bluetooth, it ate up the battery life quite fast. In fact, without the extended battery, the Samsung UPstage can only last up to 2.5 hours on a single charge for talking and standby. So it's quite mediocre battery just on its own. But if you have the extended battery pack, which is included in the box, it actually extends the battery life quite considerably. It also comes, the case actually is a flipping case, which is pretty relevant even today's standards. It's quite similar to some of Samsung's newer cases for their Samsung Galaxy series and the Samsung Note series. So it's pretty cool flipping form factor leather case. Otherwise, taking a closer look on the back, the device features a 2.4-inch TFT display, and it shows off colors pretty nicely. It's a pretty good, in terms of viewing angled screen. And below the screen itself, we have access to a touch-sensitive array of controls for you to control the menu, the skip track functionality, and also the back and the end keys. And it also dubs as a play and pause button on the center, which is actually a physical button that you can press in for tactile responses. The side, in terms of the controls of the touch optimization, is pretty sensitive and easy to use. It uses a capacitive sensor, so it's quite nice and easy to use, and also the backlight is blue, so you can see it in darker environments as well. Overall, the body of the device is also made out of a soft touch material, so it's still pretty easy to grip, even if you have slippery hands or larger or smaller hands. The bottom device features a proprietary pen for you to actually extend the battery with the aforementioned battery slash case that comes included in the box. The right-hand side device features a power and a lock key for you to lock the MP3 player for you to just play back music or call someone on one side of the phone. It also includes a flip key for you to flip the device, and because you have to save battery life, whenever you're done with using one side of the phone, you can flip it by pressing this key, which is pretty tactile, to the other side and start dialing someone by using the phone function. So it has a dual flip design that you have to actually use a button to flip instead of using an accelerometer, which is a little bit tedious. It also includes a lanyard port on the bottom of the device. The left-hand side of the device actually has access to the volume rocker, which is a little bit small for our tastes, but it still is pretty tactile, a reset hole, and also you have access to a proprietary charging port as well as a headphone jack, which is a pretty large disappointment, especially because the Samsung UPstage is a music-oriented phone. The fact that Samsung could not build in a 3.5mm headphone jack is quite disappointing. As a result, you have to use an adapter just to listen to your music with your own pair of headphones. Thankfully, again, the device does support stereo speakers and stereo Bluetooth, so you can actually use your Bluetooth headphones for you to listen to music wirelessly and in decent quality as well. Also, on the right-hand side that we forgot to mention was actually access to also a micro SD card slot for you to expand the memory of the phone for you to listen to music, and also for the device to read files, which is quite important. Taking a look at the flip side, the device comes to a traditional phone form factor, which is quite mundane and very basic, as you can see here. The screen on this side only measures 1.4 inches diagonally, and even though it is a full color screen, Samsung and Sprint decided to keep the screen in a very monochrome theme when the device is turned on. As a result, icons and logos are very simple, but they are very large and easy to read. The top device features a 1.0 megapixel camera, which actually isn't front-facing because the phone again flips. So when you're taking images, you actually are using the larger screen as a viewfinder on the back, and also at a more traditional MP3-like form factor. On the side here, we also have a headphone earpiece Down below here is the D-pad. It consists of a 5-way navigation toggle, an OK button, 2 soft keys, talk and end keys, a camera key, and the T9 style numeric D-pad. The keypad is pretty nicely laid out. It's pretty large and responsive and easy to press. However, the buttons are extremely flush with the surface of the device. A disappointing factor with this is that if you're planning on texting by feel, or if you are a rapid texter, you will be slowed down by the fact that the buttons are so unflush with the surface of the device, which makes, again, typing a little bit of a hindrance over time. Overall, though, it's a pretty nice and large keypad. We just wish sometimes that the screen on this side would be a little bit larger to read out our full text messages instead of having to scroll back and forth just to read what we typed out using the numeric D-pad on the back. The device also supports eVideo support for fairly decent upload and download speeds on the web when you're using a web browser. As far as web browsing considered, of course, you use the MP3 player side. So using the touch-sensitive controls, instead of having these functions be dedicated to back and play, pause, and the track controls, they now dedicate for a mouse controller, which you can use this just to go up, down, left, and right like a numeric D-pad, but touch-sensitive this time. Overall, the device is pretty interesting. Again, the back of the device features a very MP3-like design, like most of Samsung's more earlier MP3 players, and the back, of course, features a more modern but also basic cell phone design. And this 2-in-1 form factor was something that was certainly unique and we've never seen before. As far as footprint, for size comparison, this is the Samsung Trans. As you can see here, the size is quite similar, but the thickness is quite thin because the device, the Trans, does use a sliding form factor instead of a flip form factor like on the Samsung UPstage. We'll take a closer look at the UI in part 2 of our video review. Thanks for watching here at OS and VTXreviews.com.